name is Sophia and today I'm here to talk about the books I read so far this year. So, quick update, I wasn't able to upload a video all this time because pretty much, one, I didn't have the energy, two, since we're in quarantine, my parents can't leave the house. So I can't film because I'm gonna look like a dumbass. So I just haven't been able to do anything, and I've had this I really wanted to film about the books I read this year, but I wasn't able to, but now I can because they're going out there to meet my aunt or something. So let's just get right into it. Talk about the books I read in January through March. Just give a little quick little update. I read 12 total books this year. One of them was in January, 3 of them in February, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 were in March, and 1 was in April. The first book I read this year, and the only book I read in January, is The Subtle Knife by Phillip Pullman. This is the only book I read in January because I was traveling from the 1st to the 25th, and I didn't have any time to read, but this is the sequel to The Golden Compass, the first book in his Dark Material series. I loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I didn't love it as much as book 1. I didn't think it was as strong as book 1, but it still has that. I'm already established into this world and I already love these characters. So I loved it. I love spending time with Lyra. I loved getting to know Will. I love Yorick and Lee and Miss Coulter. I love Miss Coulter. And pretty much, yeah, I just had a really good time. The next book I read then was Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin. I read it as an audiobook because I thought the premise was really cool. It's about this girl was sexually assaulted by a group of guys at this party. It's kind of like a retelling of Hamlet, I think, some Shakespearean story, and she then goes on a killing spree. She's talking to her friends like, I'm gonna kill all of them, and then her plan is to kill all of them. I hated this book. I did. I wanted it to kind of feel like this revenge, and it was about this girl's experience taking revenge on not just these guys who did this to her, but the entire system who allowed that to happen to her. But at the 30% mark, she met this guy, and it became about her relationship with the guy and her talking to this guy. She didn't say one paragraph without mentioning this dude, and it drove me fucking insane. It wasn't, and he was friends with the guys who raped her, and it was still about revenge, but it was also about me and him. We're the king and queen of the high school, and I'm like, dude, nobody talks like that. It was ridiculous. I hated it. I finished it with pure hatred in my heart. I was like, I just want to be done with this, and I really did not like it. Next book I read was a graphic novel. It's Korra, The Legend of Korra, Turf Wars. I read the first 3 volumes. I'm counting as 1 in the bind-up. I only have the first volume, but I read the other 2 online, and I'm not usually a big fan of graphic novels because I really value inner monologue and the little tidbits that authors put when they're writing in prose, and I usually don't get that with graphic novels, and that's okay. That's just my thing. But since I'm already 7 seasons of TV deep into this world, and I was just revisiting this world, seeing Korra and Asami and their relationship, which was amazing. I had a really fun time, so I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because I was already established in this world. I already loved these characters, already loved the setting. It was just fun. So the next book I read, I'm reading the list down there, was a reread, so I'm not going to talk much about it, but it's Word of Radiance, second book in the Stormlight Archive. I tabbed it. I also listened to the 50-hour audiobook in 3 days. Also read the 1,000-page book in 3 days. So that was an experience. This is one of my favorite series, top 3, top 2, maybe first. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite series, and I love it to death. And I just wanted to, a friend of mine was reading the series for the first time, and I was talking to her, and it just made me want to reread it. So I picked it up and read it in 3 days. I don't see a single flaw with these books, besides the interludes, which I know they're there for a reason, and I know They're there to enrich the characters, but some of them are just so boring. But overall, I just love this book so much. It might be my favorite of the series plot-wise, but the third one is my favorite of the series theme-wise and character-wise. No, the first one is my favorite character-wise, second one is my favorite plot-wise, and the third one is my favorite theme. That's my ranking. The next book I read was an audiobook also. It's We Used to Be Friends by Amy Spalding, I think. It's just about the story of these two girls who used to be best friends and they're falling out and them like not really being friends anymore. And it's just like they're falling out, and I thought it was gonna hit way harder than it did. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because I just thought it was okay. Really average, really forgettable book for me. Some people who are going to relate to it a lot more, but it stopped being so much about their falling out friendship, and it was a lot more about their outside factors on their life, and I just wanted to see more exploration of their friendship itself and how, and like more exploration of that theme overall. And I didn't really get it. I just got this contemporary story about 2 girls who started up friends, which I didn't feel their friendship much anyways, and ended not friends. And also it was told in a completely non-linear story, and since I don't give a shit about when they say, oh, January senior year, August senior year, 18 months later, 6 months before, I'm like, I don't know when this is supposed to take place, so I'm just going with it. But it made me very confused some parts because I was listening to the audiobook, and sometimes I just zone off and I miss really important stuff. That could have contributed to my not really enjoyment of the book, but I liked it, but not so much. Next book I read was also a reread, and it's Final Empire by Sanderson. Sanderson is my favorite author. Words of Radiance was also by him. I started tabbing it, but then I realized that my experience was gonna be better if I just read it straight through and didn't like stop to annotate and tab. So I did it, and it was amazing, wonderful, fucking fantastic. The world building in this, the character work, the plot. I don't think I've seen a tighter plot than in the Mistborn trilogy. It's so good to revisit this world again and these characters and see how motherfucking insane this story is, and I love it so much. I'm not sure if I'm gonna reread the other 2 because I haven't been reading as much this year, and I love the story so much, and I just wanted some time with these characters. That's what I got. I can't really complain. 5 out of 5. Next book I read is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. My first book by Christina Lauren, one of my first adult romances, not the first, but one of like the select 3 that I read that are adult romance, and I really liked it. Sometimes you just need cute enemies to lovers to cheer you up, and that's fine. That's great. Just like you do you, and I did me, and I read The Unhoneymooners, and I had a blast. I read it in one afternoon because I'm quarantining, so I have a lot of time, even though online school is taking a lot of it, but otherwise, it was just so much fun. I smiled a lot. I thought it was cute. I liked the romance. 4 out of 5 stars. Solid. Very solid. The other audiobook I read was 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson on the recommendation of Books and Lala, Kayla from Books and Lala. I didn't like it. I thought the beginning started out strong, like started out with a good mystery, with a good setup, with good character dynamics between this guy and this FBI agent. And then it's all thrown out the window. That's not the direction we're going in. We're gonna just throw out this interesting dynamic in the beginning and go this entire different direction, and I didn't like it. I started zoning off or zoning out. I started like putting my mind on something else during the killer's big reveal, which is not a good sign at all. Like, it was saying like this person did it because this and this and this and this, and I'm just like, I don't care, and that's a terrible sign for a thriller, and I really didn't like it. 2 out of 5 stars because I think the beginning started out good and it had some interesting parts, but I think just like overall I don't really care for it. The other one is No Exit by Taylor Adams. So just a disclaimer, I think it's really hard for me to find a thriller I like a lot. Not love, like a lot. Last year, I think I read 8 or 9 thrillers. Only one of them was 4 stars. Yeah, it's that hard. And this year, I read 3. I'm gonna talk about the other one a little bit later. 2 of them were 3 stars and lower. It's not that I have big, like, high standards for it. It's just that it's normally not really my thing, and I hate red herrings. Like, I think some red herrings are important for a story to progress, but when we spend 30% of a book following this false lead and ends up being for nothing, I just feel cheated. So that's why I don't like a lot of thrillers. Now, this one that I read, No Exit by Taylor Adams, I liked it. I gave it 3.25 stars because I'm particular like that. And I mean, I had fun. There was a reveal in the first 40% that I audibly gasped. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is part of the book, and I thought it was great. Now, the beginning meandered a little. I have to give it that. It wasn't that great. The middle, it kind of, I think it sort of didn't know where it was going, and I started feeling less invested when in the first 40% I was very invested, not only in the story but in the main character, which doesn't really happen to me in thrillers. And I kind of lost that, but by the end I liked the ending, but I wasn't that invested anymore, so I gave it 3.25 stars. Liked it. It was a little bit above average. It thrilled me, as a thriller should do, but didn't really find nothing special with it, which is what I need for a 4 and higher. So I gave it 3.5, maybe 3.25, maybe 3.5. Let's see. The next book I read, I actually own. Yay! I read it physically, and it's Wundersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the sequel to Nevermore, and I liked Nevermore a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5. Had a lot of fun. Really liked the world. Really liked what the author was doing with like themes and Morgan's like character development, and I really liked it. But Wundersmith took it to a whole new level. This has a school setting, which is one of my favorite tropes, and it's just really, really nice. Obviously, it's middle grade. Oh shit, I didn't say what it was about. Pretty much this girl. Oh my god, I can't explain it. Just look it up. It's wonderful. If you like fantastical, whimsical things, or middle grade, like, look at this. Like, check this one out. Look at the blurb. See if you like it. I really, really liked the first one, and I loved this one. I just think the plot went in a great direction, even if things were predictable again, because, I mean, it's middle grade. I never not had fun. I was struggling with books at that time, and I just opened the first page, and I just went. I blinked, and I was on page, like, 80. And I just had so much fun with this. I love the direction that Morgan's character takes in this book. I love the friendship she makes. I love, like, the plot, like, the direction the story goes. I love it. I love how the little bit of magic we're exploring. Oh my god, I just love how, like, heartwarming some of it is, but it's also sad because Morgan's gone through a lot. And I just love this book a lot. I just finished it, and it made me so happy. And this entire book just made me so happy, even though it's like 500 pages. It's 500 pages for a middle grade, and it's wonderful. I love it. 5 out of 5. My first 5-star of the year of a book that wasn't a reread. At this point, I went on a streak. I read another 5-star book, and this one I think went into my all-time favorites, and it's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Finally, a thriller I give 5 stars to. The last time I gave a thriller 5 stars, it was 2015. I don't read a lot of thrillers. I've read maybe 15 max, very max, and I've only given 5 stars to 2. And then there were none in Gone Girl. In Gone Girl, I need to gush about this book's brilliance, because it's brilliant. I knew about the twist because I watched the movie before. I really loved the movie, but I rewatched the movie right after I finished, and it's lacking something. It's lacking something the book has, which is characterization. The movie still has great characterization, but the book, it's another level. It's like one of the best character work I've seen lately. That's a ballsy comment, but I'll stand by it. I just think the way that Amy and Nick's characters were crafted and the way their relationship and dynamic was crafted is brilliant. It has, like, you can tell that Gillian Flynn put so much thought and work behind each action, each glance, each monologue, each dialogue, and I just think it's wonderful. I also tabbed it. Look at this, how many fucking tabs. It's wonderful. There was one scene that I just put like 5 tabs on the same page. I don't think I can find it, but like, dude, me just putting, look at this, 3 tabs on the same page because it's wonderful. And I could talk a lot about the plot. I could talk a lot about how Gone Girl changed the thriller genre, but the thing that I love about this book is the characters. It's not that I love the characters, I just love how the characters were made and how they were written, and I love the writing too. I think the writing was great. I just think this book is brilliant. It gives other thriller authors a run for their money, because a lot of other thriller authors, they only think about shocking you, and they don't actually think about, are these real people? Are these real fucked up people that are talking, that are interacting with each other, and why would they do this? Why would they do that? How are they fucked up? How does that influence everything they do, everything they say, everything they think? And it's wonderful. And when watching the movie, I was like, this is so dry. This lacks so much, because this book gives so much. And I love it. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. My favorite book of the year so far. Yep, favorite book of the year so far. I did not think that would be a thriller, but I knew I was gonna like this at least because I already liked the movie. But favorite book of the year so far out of 12? Damn. Now, those were the books I read in January, February, March. There is one book I have finished so far in April. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit because I don't think I'm gonna be able to do another video soon. And I'll do like a little bit about my reading plans for this month. So the one book I read in April so far, it's Girl Made of Stars. I started this at like 5 p.m. on April 1st, and I finished it 10 p.m. April 1st. Just binged it, sobbed my fucking heart out. Wow, this book has a lot of trigger warnings, just so you know. It's about sexual assault, and pretty much our main characters, twin brother, sexually assaulted this girl at a party, and it's her grappling to terms with that. This girl was one of her best friends. At the beginning, it's her coming to terms with that, her coming to terms with her own trauma, and it's a beautiful book, a beautiful, beautiful book. It uses imagery, star imagery, and symbolism so well. I didn't tab it, but it got to a part, I'm not gonna be able to see it, when I just dog-eared a lot of pages, because I was like, I'm not gonna tap this in the last 50 pages, but I am gonna mark this somehow. So I was just like dog-earing everything. Every 3 pages I dog-eared something. And there was one flashback scene, got me on the verge of a panic attack. I have to say, I started freaking out and hyperventilating, and I had to calm myself, and I had to do that trick where you name a lot of things that are surrounding you. So I was just like, book, lamp, wardrobe, and it calmed me down. But wow, this book is hard, it's heavy, it's extremely important, it's beautiful, and it's incredible. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I don't know. For a book to really get 5 stars for me, it needs to have more than an important subject being discussed. Even though I love this book and I cried and I felt for them, there has to be something that actually makes me like, oh my god, I love this so much. And this one, I'm like, I loved it. Not in a giddy way, in a somber way. Like, I finished it, I was emotionally drained. Oh my god, I was emotionally drained. I couldn't talk or like be excited about things. I was like, I have to go to sleep. I can't do this right now. but it's a very important book. It's just not a thing that I would call, a type of book that I would call my favorite. And then I will give 5 stars to, because 5 stars are usually favorites. So yeah, those were the books I read in January, February, March, and the first book I read in April. I'm going to talk a little bit about my TBR. Book series that got me into reading was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is my Portuguese copy because I was 9 years old and I was not going to read an English book at 9 years old. I was going to at 12, and I'm rereading it right now. I started today. I'm already this much through, like 130 pages through, and since the entire first series arc is about Percy reaching 16 and the whole battle that goes on when he gets 16 is a big prophecy about him turning 16, I was like, I should reread the series when I'm still 16 before I turn 17. So that's what I'm gonna do. I will, just a second, I have the original covers. I'm going to reread the series until April 17. This is easy. These books are really quick. I'm just gonna have a lot of fun with them. And yeah, that's my main reading goal for this month. I have some others that are the books I was planning to read for Owls, the readathon, before I decided to reread 5 books from the Percy Jackson series. The first one is Empire of Sand, which I started. I was liking it. I'm like 58 pages into. I was liking it, but I wasn't loving it, and I needed something that I was loving to really like push me through, so I picked up Percy Jackson, obviously. I am also going to read, Middle Game by Shauna McGuire. I've been meaning to get to this book for so long. I am getting to it this month. I need to get to it this month. And also, I want to read Bloody Rose by Nicholas Ames. Read Kings of the Wild. Loved Kings of the Wild. So much fun. And I need to get to this book because the main characters are all women. And that's more my thing. You know, women with swords. That's like my brand. So those were the books that I read so far this year. The books I am planning to read this month. And yeah, had a lot of fun talking to you again. Hope I can do this more often, but I shouldn't do this more often because people shouldn't leave their houses. But this was like, we needed to. And yeah, my name is Sophia, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!